Hey guys, hope you're doing well. Today we're going to be talking about why Jesus died for us. Now I feel like this is a question that all Christians should be able to answer because this is the foundation of our faith, that Jesus died on the cross and Jesus rose again on the third day. That's what I thought until I started asking people around church. I was just asking them, why did Jesus die for us? And they always give me the same answer, which is true, that Jesus died for our sins. But when we start probing into these questions, that's where we start going, oh, I'm not actually too sure, but I did know that Jesus died on the cross and he did die for our sins, but I'm not sure why. Why did this have to happen? And this is something I didn't know either, so I had to look into it and I found some very interesting things that I thought I'd share in this video. I hope this video becomes a tool for you to be able to understand and learn the meaning of our foundation of our faith in Jesus. Alrighty, so to get a gist of why Jesus had to die for us, we actually need to move back from the time of Jesus all the way back to the time of Moses. Well, it's like 1,500 years ago, something like that. I'm not too sure, but it was a long time before Jesus was born, is when Moses was alive. And what happened in that time was God came down and provided Moses with the Ten Commandments. Now, these Ten Commandments is known as the moral law. Essentially, these are rules or moral laws that God governs us by. Follow these 10 commandments and you will go to heaven. So don't kill, honor your parents, go to church, honor the Sabbath. These are simple things that we can do to be able to get to heaven. But did you know that it's impossible to follow the 10 commandments? Because what a lot of people think is, oh, let me follow these 10 commandments in this time of adversity so then God will see how good I am. Whereas God placed these rules from the time of birth all the way to the time of death, which means during the entire period, you must not break any of these 10 commandments. But let's say for the sake of argument, you're actually really good. You've actually done a lot of good things in the world. You've helped the poor, you've went to church, you're really nice to your community, you haven't committed adultery, and you lived a good life. The problem here lies when we start looking back in time to the time when we were kids. I stole when I was a kid. You might have stolen when you were a kid. Even something as small as just disobeying your parents is not honoring your parents. Therefore, by God's law, you have sinned. And because you have sinned, you're now going to hell. But God can just forgive us, right? We did a lot of good things, but we did a little bit of bad things. It's fine, don't worry about it. It doesn't work like that. God is a just God. The God that we serve is a just God. It's not because you've done a lot of good things, I'll forget about the murder you've done, or I'll forget about all these bad things you did. That is not a just God. Imagine if you go to court and then the judge starts saying, you might have ended this person's life, but no, that's fine. Don't worry about it. What we're going to do is we're going to send you to heaven because you've helped the poor, or you did this, or you did that. That is not a just God. A just God is someone that enacts justice for those who have committed the crimes. No matter what the crime, there must be a punishment. It says many times in the Bible that the punishment for sin is death. Death is the only payment for sin, which means we all deserve hell because we've all sinned. Every one of us have sinned. But why can't God just forgive us? Think of it like this. Let's say you have a really nice white shirt, it's beautiful, glistening white. You've washed it out completely, so it's pristine white. And you go to the party, you start eating food, maybe have a couple of drinks, and then something drops in your shirt and it creates a stain. Now, you go to the toilet, you try wiping it off because it's quite noticeable, but you wipe it off, but it's barely visible, but it's still there, but it's barely visible. In that scenario, even though you try to wash away this dirt, this stain, something's still going to be there. There's no way to get rid of that stain. In the same way, God is a pure, clean being. He is a God of purity. He is purity. And we've become impure because of our sins. There's no way that God can bring us to heaven when we've had this stain, this dirt on us. Why is that? You can't bring the impure into the pure. That's why we need to remove the sin from the spirit, take it away so that we are now left clean, so that we may enter the presence of heaven. But as we previously established, there's no way to get to heaven because we keep sinning over and over again. So what God did was that he took the sins of the community, placed it upon the animal. It's usually a lamb, right? And then from there, the priest sacrifices the lamb, and then the sin is now dead, which means everyone in that community has now been justified and absolved from their sins. But now let's imagine a scenario where we're back in the day. Look, we've sinned, we've been absolved of our sin. We're fine. the next day we steal something or we dishonor our parents and then we pass away. In that scenario, we're gone. There is no justification to enter heaven because of our sins. So there needs to be another way out. There needs to be something. Because as God is a God of justice, he is also a God of love. He loves his creation, the ones that have been created in God's image so much that he had to find a way out. That there needs to be a way out. And of course, God knows everything. This is all part of his plan from the beginning of creation. But there must be a way, right? There must be a way to be able to get humans into heaven, even though they've sinned. There must be a way. As I stated before, lambs or animals are finite beings, which means once they die, they're done. In order to save humanity, there needs to be something that's out of this world, that's out of creation, something that's not finite. And what I mean by finite, I mean not restricted by time, because time means you're sacrificing yourself for that moment in time. It has to be an eternal being, someone that's outside of time, space, and matter. Only he can take away sins for all of eternity at one single time. It has to be a divine being, someone that's outside of space, time, and matter. It has to be God. Fortunately for us, God knew that. God already knew that the only way to save us is by sacrificing not a finite being, an infinite being, a divine being. So, God came down in the form of a man, a humble man, because he wanted to show us how to be a perfect human being. He wanted to show us a new man. So he came down humble in the form of a carpenter, Jesus Christ. And Jesus continued his ministry for 3 years, an 80-30 till 80-33, prophesying that he will die on the cross, which means he did it willingly. He prayed in the Garden of Gethsemane, sweating blood, because he's so stressed, because he knows what's about to happen and doesn't want it to happen. He asked God, take away this cup from me. But then afterwards he says, let your will be done. So he sacrifices himself. God takes all the sin of the world, puts it upon himself, and then dies. That's why it's Good Friday, because we are able to be absolved of our sins because Jesus decided to absolve them for us. After all this, he comes back alive on the third day. Why? He's defeated death. He's defeated sin. So when the time comes that when we face trial in front of God, and God goes, you've done this, you've done this, you've done this. You know, you've done all these good things, but you've done all these bad things, and the wages of sin is death. Jesus come back and say, whoa, 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 hold up. I've justified him to be able to stand here and enter my presence because he is now covered with the blood that I've shed for humankind. He's paid the price for us. When we're covered in the blood and God sees in his throne room us covered in the blood, he doesn't see us for who we are. God sees Jesus. So that's why God died for us. That's why Jesus died for us. Not just because he wanted to, but because he had to save us. Because he's a God of love, he had to do it for our sake. He did this all for us. Now, there's a reason why in the Bible it says we are now justified by faith. Because now we believe that Jesus died on the cross and resurrected on the third day for us. So that when the time comes that we're in the court, Jesus can now say, because you believed in me and what I did for you 2,000 years ago, you may now enter the kingdom of heaven because of my sacrifice. So next time we celebrate the Holy Week, make sure we understand why we're actually celebrating. Don't just say it's for our sins. Understand why God sacrificed for us. And if you want to go one step further, understand what type of sacrifice he had to make, what he went through before the cross. And then you will start to understand the immensity of Christ's sacrifice. I hope this explains a few doubts that you may have had. For the new Christians or for those that are still learning about the faith, I hope this gives you an understanding of what we believe as Christians and may guide you to understand and learn more about him. For those who have other reasons as to why God died for us, leave it down in the comments. I'd love to hear it because there are a myriad of reasons, right? This is one reason. God is infinite and wise. I'm sure there are many reasons that I can't even begin to fathom. So if there's any more that I've missed out, leave them down in the comments. Hope this helps. Like and subscribe. See you later.